Be encouraged. But listen, and this will be the last thing I think, because I was reflecting and I was sitting with the Lord and I was like, Lord, like, why haven't certain things happened and stuff like this, right? And I got a quick revelation of the fact that there are certain things that I wanted to do. And some of y'all may or may not know, but I came from like new age spirituality. I was lost in the sauce. Okay. So I was trying to figure out, I had always had a God focus, right? But I didn't really know Jesus. So I'd ask God and I'd be like, God, like, how can I do this? I want to help people heal. Like, I always felt like I tried to use my gifts in a way that wasn't for the Lord, right? So every time that I tried to use my gifts to get in my purpose, I wanted to be a sound healer. I wanted to start like a business doing this, that, all of this stuff, right? But every time, and I'm a singer too, so I write songs and I do this, but I'd always feel blocked at a certain point, right? I'd feel halted. Like I'd even make YouTube videos back then, and you can kind of look on my channel, but please. But I made a couple talking videos too, because I'd have revelation, like the gifts come without repentance, right? So I'd still have revelations. I'd still be able to see things prophetically, and I'd want to share these things. But then I'd always feel blocked, even when I would try to do that. And I'd be like, why? Little did I know that it was because I wasn't even really in the Lord's will. I'm thinking, Lord, why won't it prosper? Why won't it work? Why do I feel blocked? Why isn't it happening? But there's no way in my puny little brain that I'm going to be able to have a revelation or understand that the Lord is the one frustrating my path, is blocking me, is telling me halt here, because it's not his way. That's not my path. But I'm not going to know that because I'm lost in deception. I'm just over here like, why isn't it working? Why isn't it happening? Simply because I'm like, God, I'm doing what I thought this is, why ain't it working? And I had a revelation while I was asking the Lord in this moment, like, why aren't certain things happening? Like, why aren't certain, like, why? And then he brings me back to my past to show me how there were certain moments in my life where the Lord stopped certain things from happening, paused certain things from happening. It's not like my YouTube didn't continue. I'm here, right? It's not like I'm not going to continue writing music. I still write music now, but now it's for the Lord. It's not that these things didn't happen. It's not that the Lord wasn't going to make these things prosper. It wasn't that these things weren't going to be brought into fruition. It's not that this wasn't God's plan, but there was a different way to go about it that I was not going to be able to see. So he halted me. He stopped me. He would pause me. He would pause me. It's a pause. It's a pause. It's not a no. It's not a, this isn't going to happen. It's a pause, because there's something that the Lord has awareness of, revelation of, that I don't. If the Lord told me, yeah, I'm not letting this prosper because you don't know me as Jesus, then I wouldn't, how is that going to come to me? Even now, when there are certain things that are not happening, or I'm tired of waiting, or this, that, and the third, he brought it to my awareness that sometimes it gave me a peace in knowing how intentional the Lord is, right? Because what would I have looked like having got knee deep into new age, in a new age business, new age videos, new age this, new age that, spiritual this, spiritual that, spiritual this, the work that it would take to come back to his original purpose. There are reasons why the Lord does not allow certain things to happen quickly or in the way that we want. There are things that we don't have an awareness of that the Lord does, that he will pause for a moment, for a season, because there are certain things that he has to catch us up to, revelation that he has to give us, things he has to orchestrate. We have to be in the right place at the right time, right? Had the Lord allowed me to prosper in that way, can you imagine how many people, one, I would have ended up having deceived, because I was deceived. But can you imagine? And the work it would take to come back from that. Like, I only got a little bit. I was like my toe was dipped in. But imagine having put my whole body in the water, and now there's so much that has to be done after. The Lord has a reason when he doesn't let certain things happen. And we don't know why, but the Lord knows why. And I said, I'm grateful, because I'm glad I didn't get knee deep into all of that stuff, just for the Lord to be like, actually, you're wrong. Like, having put in money, invested this, invested that, invested time, and done this. Like, can you imagine? So let this be just like something to give you just an awareness of the fact that the Lord has his reasons. Okay, the Lord has his reasons for why he does certain things, why he doesn't allow certain things to take off, why it takes time. Right? And we might not always see the connection. Sometimes it has nothing to do with you. It's about the people around you. There's certain things that we have no understanding of. We have no idea. The Lord reveals it in hindsight, the same way that I'm sitting with him now. And I'm like, why isn't this? And he's like, look back to why certain things didn't work before. There was a reason for that, right? There was a reason why you couldn't stay in a relationship like that. Because the relationship would have ended you. It would have pulled you completely away from me. Look at all of the ways, that's for somebody. Look at all of the ways that the Lord has not allowed certain things to happen in your life in that moment, in that way, and how those things are actually good now when you reflect back. And use that same understanding to understand your present moment, to be like, there must be, because God is intentional. There must be a reason. There must be a reason that the Lord is not allowing this to be released. There has to be a reason. There has to be a reason. And to allow that to cushion you while you wait, to comfort you while you wait, to know that the Lord is a God. He's a God of order. He does not move 1 second before and 1 second after. He is always right on time. So we have to surrender these things. Take just the scripture of Jesus crying out to the Lord to say, all things are possible for you. There is nothing that you can't do. Take this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but thy will be done. Pour your heart out to the Lord, knowing that he sees you, knowing that he knows what you've been through, that he's lived through it himself. There's no opposition. There's no suffering. There's no teasing, taunting. There's no bullying. There's no doubt that people have. I mean, I don't know if the Lord doubted, but that he hasn't been attacked with, right? People will try to twist his words. People will try to do this, try to do that, to mess with his head, to make him feel less than, to do this, to do that, to frustrate his path, right? Know that the Lord has gone through all of this opposition before you have. There's no suffering. Jesus literally was perfect, spoke perfectly, did everything perfectly in order. And they still found reason to twist his words and to paint him as a villain to the point of killing him. Like, we have to look at Jesus at a certain point in our faith. We have to grow and stretch to see that that if Jesus wasn't exempt, that we aren't either. That we will suffer the same way. Maybe not in the same exact way, but we will suffer. We will go through the same trials. We will be attacked in the same way. People will twist our words. People will look at us like we feel like we're holier than thou. People will look at us and be like, who are you that the Lord would send you to do that? Who are you that the Lord would send you to say that? I'm on fire, y'all. I'm sorry. I gotta calm down. There is no suffering that we go through that the Lord didn't go through. Jesus was rejected in his hometown. Jesus was literally the wisest person on earth. And his own hometown couldn't even receive him. This is Jesus. So we have to understand, we have to learn not to take these things personally, to not allow suffering to write our story. God writes our story, but suffering is something that is inevitable in life. And this is something that we all collectively need to understand. We have to understand that because it will, if we continue to reject suffering and receive suffering, that we will always be tempted to sin. Always. Like it will always result in being tempted to sin or in sinning, because we want to escape that. We want to find an out. We want to soothe the pain. We have to learn how to sit with our pain in front of the Lord and give it to Him and reveal it to Him so that He's able to patch us up, right? We have to allow the Lord to chip out our hearts. Search my heart. Search me, Lord. Search me to see if there's anything in me. Search me, search me, search me. We have to understand that suffering is inevitable. We will suffer. We will suffer. We will suffer. We will suffer. Many are the afflictions of the righteous. And if you ever needed some encouragement in that, you just have to look at Jesus. Right? We have to look at Jesus. There are many people in the Bible. But if you just look at Jesus, you see that He suffered the most, doing nothing, doing absolutely nothing wrong. And to really allow Him to it's like allow Him to mentor you, to minister to you, to disciple you. Because there's nothing that you have gone through that He has not experienced. There's no pain that you have felt that He hasn't felt. And this is the last thing I'll leave you all with. In the 2 weeks that I was crying and I was like, Lord, 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 Lord.